Yuji Itadori throughout the series has been without a curse technique, relying on solely curse energy manipulation and his superhuman body that is the product of Kajaku's schemes. But it's likely that in due time, Yuji will manifest a curse technique later in the series. Sukuna's cutting technique is the option most people believe to be the one that Yuji obtains, but to be honest, there is a more obvious option that's been right in our faces the whole time, which is blood manipulation. In this video, I'll be discussing why blood manipulation is more possible than Sukuna's technique and why it fits Yuji more. Also, we'll be discussing blood manipulation in general, going over its capabilities, potential, and why blood manipulation could be very underrated compared to the main techniques of the other two great clans, and why Kenjaku has interest in this technique and Yuji's body together. As we know, Yuji is not a normal human even prior to him joining the Jujutsu world and controlling curse energy. He was different to the point that he was able to become a perfect vessel for Sukuna, most likely due to Kenjaku, who is Yuji's parent, ended up doing some type of experiment to create this type of body for some reason we do not know of yet. As we see with the death paintings, who are Yuji's brothers, due to them being created by Kenjaku, they are the product of him doing experiments on a woman during the Meiji period, where she had a special genetic makeup to bear cursed spirits' children. During that time, Kenjaku took over Kamo no Toshi, who being part of the Kamo clan became the most evil sorcerer in history and begun his experiments on this woman, making her bear 9 children from a cursed spirit and mixing in the blood of Kamo no Toshi, which created the 9 death paintings, which 3 we have seen are Chozo, Eso, and Ketchizu. They are half cursed and half human, and obtaining some form of blood manipulation as their curse technique. The technique could be from Kamo no Toshi, who mixed his blood in with the cursed spirit, but they also have a very special unique trait to their blood, which is that their blood contains poison. Eso and Ketchizu's techniques rely more on the poison part, as their technique is specified as decay, while Chozo has the full-on blood manipulation. But the poison is most likely the product of the cursed spirit, and there is a huge possibility that the curse used in these experiments to breed with the woman was one of the finger bearers that have eaten a Sukuna finger. Kenjaku has been seen throughout the story having at the very least 3 of Sukuna's fingers, while Jujutsu Tech has the majority we've seen. So it's possible that Kenjaku has used the finger bearers to do the experiment, because Sukuna, not only being called the King of Curses, is called the King of Poisons during the fight versus Iso and Ketchizu. Sukuna being called the double-faced specter, it's possible that his main 2 techniques consist of the slicing technique and a poison technique we have not seen yet, given his other epithet. Kenjaku could have been using the finger bearers, which has Sukuna's curse energy, as the curse spirit to maximize the potential of creating this new type of being. Also, since it's most likely that Yuji is the perfection of this experiment, he was able to become the perfect vessel for Sukuna because he was created from Sukuna's curse energy, and the reason why he also is resistant to poisons, which was shown first in Junpei's Shinkigami and Eso and Ketchizu's blood, and not completely because he is housing Sukuna in his own body. Also, it's possible that the reason Yuji being the perfect outcome of this experiment is likely due to the woman being modified to conceive a better being and to move away from using curses to mate with the woman. Yuji and Chozo are brothers. They share the same blood, as we see Chozo sensing Yuji's death due to the connection between their bloods in Shibuya. It's possible that the woman who was Chozo's mom is the same woman and Yuji's mother in the flashback he has. And during the flashback, we see that this time Kenjaku has jumped into the woman's head and is controlling her. And in my opinion, they share the same mother due to the fact that Chozo's parents are the woman, the cursed spirit, and Kamo no Toshi, while Yuji's parents are his mother that Kenjaku has taken over, and his father we see in the flashback. And the only way they would share a blood connection is if they had one of the same parents, as Yuji was not born from a cursed spirit or Kamo no Toshi's blood. So the mother had to be the same, while the mother has been modified over the years, which is the reason there is no longer need to use a cursed spirit, and she would be able to hold the effects of Kamo no Toshi's blood and Sukuna's curse energy. But you may ask, how could it be the same woman if Chozo's mother is from the Meiji period? Well, we already know that Kenjaku is working with Yurume, and she is most likely from the Heian period with Sukuna and Kenjaku. She is also a human, so she has traversed the years by either being a cursed object due to the pact with Kenjaku, or she can do some form of cryogenics on herself and others, as she possesses an ice curse technique. I believe it's the latter, which is more beneficial for Kenjaku, and he could have had her freeze multiple different bodies for different uses and identities, including Chozo's and Yuji's mother. She would not waste away over the years, and he could continue his experiments on her. So what's the correlation between blood manipulation and the reason for creating this body in Yuji? There seems to be more to blood manipulation that we do not know of yet. For instance, we know that the Kamu clan is part of the big three clans, including the Gojo and the Zenin. And we know how powerful the main techniques, Infinity and the 10 Shadows are. But throughout the story, blood manipulation has not been portrayed to be on the level of those other two techniques, even though all three are grouped together. It's possible that blood manipulation can reach the heights of Infinity and the 10 Shadows, but probably can't be reached by a normal human, as throughout the story we've seen that there are adverse effects on the user when using blood manipulation. With Noritoshi, we see that he must prepare blood bags in advance because he uses too much blood. He is at risk of anemia. Also, he can control his blood in his body to increase his physical abilities, which can be mistaken for doping, which if used for a long period of time could affect the body. In Shibuya, during the fight with Chozo and Yuji, Chozo has a risk of developing thrombosis because controlling all blood vessels is impossible, probably due to the fact of him still being part human. Both Chozo and especially Noritoshi can't push their technique and body to the fullest due to the harsh effects on the body. In the story so far, there really isn't another technique with harsh side effects from using one's own technique like blood manipulation. So it's possible that just like the Zenin's 10 Shadows technique, no one has been able to reach the full potential of blood manipulation, and especially if there's a special ability or trait to it like the Gojo's Hollow Purple, or the possible incantation to revive the dead or so from the 10 Shadows. And that could be a reason for Kenjaku creating a perfect body to harvest the full potential of blood manipulation. While Yuji's body not only having superhuman physical capabilities that are not far behind a heavenly restriction body of people like Toji and Maki, and still sustaining his curse energy, there have been instances in the story where Yuji has taken damage that otherwise would be fatal to other sorcerers. For example, the fight with both Junpei and Mahito, we see Yuji take multiple stab wounds that other people would bleed out from and die. But we see Yuji continue to fight while not bleeding out. The same happens during his fight with Chozo, where he takes a puncture wound to the liver and continues to fight. It's probably due to just his physical makeup, making him persevere through the pain, but it could be that his body is accustomed to hold in blood and regulate bleeding on its own, unconsciously regulating the blood flow and circulating it to keep from bleeding out, as we've seen from Noritoshi do this in a recent example in chapter 194. But in his case, it takes so much out of him. So there are some evident situations where his body has unique traits other than just superhuman strength that could be a precursor to his awakening of blood manipulation. Also, it's just too perfect of an ability for Yuji and fits his style of fighting. Yuji is a close range fighter, mostly because he has no technique yet, but he is also just really good at martial arts. Blood manipulation can buff up his already physical traits even more with abilities like Flowing Red Scale, which increases the power and speed of the user by manipulating the blood cells inside, and abilities like Blood Edge, which increases the user's attacks even more and their durability by hardening the blood, making the user's body even harder. This would potentially bring Yuji's body on a physical level we have never seen before from a character, even surpassing the likes of Toji and Maki, by combining his technique with his already special body and great curse energy manipulation. It can also be used to create objects with blood. In the fight with Chozo, we see him create daggers made up of blood, which we've seen Yuji throughout the series fight with knives or daggers, so it can give him an easy way to retain weapons. Not only will it make Yuji's close combat even more deadly, it will give Yuji more versatility by introducing him to more ranged attacks like piercing blood, and potentially learning from Chozo and obtaining his secret technique Supernova. Of course, we could expect Yuji learning even greater techniques that his body can handle the effects of blood manipulation, and even see a blood manipulation domain expansion in the future. There could also be healing abilities by controlling the blood on a more precise level to heal or go further and regenerate, giving Yuji a different way to heal other than relying on reverse curse technique. And let's not forget that Yuji, being the brother of the death paintings, it's most likely his blood will also obtain the poison properties as well, and able to turn curse energy to blood like Chozo, because of the special makeup from a cursed inhuman, which will also apply to Yuji, and also obtaining a special ability that rivals the secret techniques of the Gojo's Hollow Purple and the possible 10 Shadows incantation, which parallels Sukuna's interest in the 10 shadows, and Kenjaku being interested in blood manipulation, which is more evident due to the fact he took over a clan member from the Kamo clan in the past, and in recent events is now the head of the Kamo clan himself. It also parallels that the three main characters in Gojo, Megumi, and Yuji would have the main techniques of the three great clans, and none have a desire to be a head of the clan even though possessing the main technique, which also puts more stock into what Gojo said about Yuji and Megumi, able to rival him in the future, if not become better, as both of their techniques have never been fully realized, as no 10 Shadows user has tamed Maharaga, and blood manipulation has not come close to the other two techniques. Although even if Yuji obtains blood manipulation, he will need training to quickly become skilled with it, and obviously Chozo would be there to mentor Yuji, but also Noritoshi, especially due to recent events where he was exiled from the clan and no longer being able to give his mother a life in the clan, as she has also moved on by making a better life for herself. It would give Noritoshi another purpose, as he is devoid of one currently, which he is believing that he is worthless and expendable. Mentoring Yuji with Chozo would give him a purpose again, and even further, could potentially create a better Kamo clan in the future, and Noritoshi still could take over as clan head, as just like the Zenin clan, the Kamo clan's future looks very bleak due to being taken over by Kenjaku and already being the most conservative of the clans anyways. Even if it's been overlooked this far into the series, the purpose of Yuji's body and blood manipulation should come into play soon, possibly during the culling game, as this game is full of non-sorcerers awakening their techniques, and Yuji could be another person to awaken his technique amongst the chaos, which was Kenjaku's objective for the culling game, to see what uncontrollable chaos breeds and how it can maximize curse energy and curse techniques. And blood manipulation just straight up gives Yuji a chance to become different from Sukuna, instead of just copying his technique, which would be kind of boring in my opinion, and would seem bizarre if Yuji even came close to using it like or even better than Sukuna, who's had it for over 1,000 years. And like I said, it's more obvious with every involvement Kenjaku has with the Kamo clan, and Yuji just being the brother of Chozo and the other death paintings. Blood manipulation being Yuji's technique just seems the most evident out of the two, and gives Yuji the chance to show greater abilities we have not seen before by unlocking the potential of blood manipulation.